Imagine you are standing at the edge of a wide river at dawn. Mist hovers above the water like breath, and the current moves without hurry, carrying leaves, carrying clouds, carrying the reflection of a sky that hasn't yet decided what color it wants to be. Somewhere downstream, far beyond the bend, someone is crying. Somewhere upstream, far beyond the next ridge, someone is laughing. You, here, cannot change either sound. You can only feel the cool air on your skin, watch the water unroll its silver scroll, and notice the small, unforced rhythm of your own breathing. This is the first lesson of detachment. The world is already in motion before we arrive, and it will remain in motion long after we leave. Our work is not to dam the river, but to learn how to stand beside it without drowning. The Monk and the Porcelain Cup. There is a story told in the hill monasteries of northern Thailand about a monk who carried his teacher's gift, a delicate porcelain cup, wherever he went. He wrapped it in silk, cradled it during walking meditation, even placed it beside his mat at night so that the moon could admire its glaze. One winter morning, while heating water for tea, the cup slipped. It shattered across the floor like a small snowstorm. The monk's heart lurched. Tears sprang to his eyes. His teacher entered, surveyed the fragments, and said quietly, "Ah, it was already broken." The sentence sounds cold until you hear its warmth. The cup was always temporary, its beauty always on loan. To have loved it was never a mistake. To have believed it would stay whole forever was the only sorrow. Detachment, then, is not a refusal to love. It is the decision to love with open palms rather than clenched fists. Attachment and the ache beneath it. Most of us live inside invisible contracts. If I am a good parent, my children will never suffer. If I work hard, my job will be secure. If I say the perfect words, the person I love will never leave. These contracts feel like safety, yet they are made of glass. When the glass breaks, we call life unfair. Buddhism points to the ache beneath the breakage and names it attachment, the insistence that reality stays still long enough to match the picture in our minds. The picture is never still. The child grows, the company downsizes, the beloved changes heart. Suffering is not the change itself. It is the collision between change and our refusal to accept it. Consider the river again. You may step into it to drink, to bathe, to cool your feet, but if you try to seize the water, to store it in your pockets, it slips away, and you are left wet-handed and bewildered. The same water will appear downstream, transformed, unrecognizable, yet never truly lost. What you needed, coolness, cleansing, refreshment, has already happened. Can you trust that more will arrive when it is needed again? Radical acceptance, meeting the wave. There is a second story, this one from the southern coast of Sri Lanka. A fisherman stands on the shore as a monsoon wave rises higher than his house. His neighbors run inland, shouting warnings. The fisherman walks forward instead. He meets the wave, dives beneath its belly, and lets it roll over him like a great gray blanket. When the water recedes, he stands up, spits salt, and begins to repair his nets. Asked later why he did not flee, he shrugs. The wave was coming anyway. I could fight it and be crushed, or I could dance with it and live. Radical acceptance is not applause for pain. It is the clear-eyed recognition that the wave is already on its way. Once seen, we can decide, thrash and drown, or dive and rise. The mind, untrained, is a frantic carpenter. It builds elaborate scaffolding around every event. If she had not left me, I would be happy. If I had taken that job, I would be secure. The scaffolding creaks under the weight of what-ifs. Acceptance dismantles it, plank by plank, until we stand on the bare ground of what is. From that ground, action becomes possible, not frantic reaction, but measured response. The wave has arrived, Now what skillful thing can I do? The archer and the wind. An archer stands on a ridge, bow drawn. He calculates distance, wind speed, the heartbeat between intention and release. Yet the arrow's flight will be influenced by 1,000 invisible hands, a sudden gust, the tremor of his breath, the movement of the target itself. He cannot control these variables. He can only adjust his stance and release with sincerity. Afterward, he walks to where the arrow has landed, whether near the bullseye or in the grass, and begins again. This is how a life is lived, without clenched fists. Aim with care, release with trust, retrieve with curiosity. Often we reverse the process. We aim, then demand the wind obey. We identify so fiercely with the outcome that a missed shot becomes a verdict on our worth. Buddhism invites us to identify instead with the aiming. The effort is ours. The result belongs to the wind. Paradoxically, this detachment sharpens rather than dulls our skill. The hand that is not cramped by grasping can hold the bow more steadily. The horse, the broken leg, and the war. In a village at the foot of the Himalayas, an old monk's horse escapes. The neighbors lament, "What misfortune?" The monk says, "Luck, misfortune, who can say?" Days later the horse returns, bringing with it a wild mare. The neighbors cheer, "What fortune?" The monk says, "Luck, misfortune, who can say?" The monk's son tries to ride the mare, falls, and breaks his leg. The neighbors wail, "What misfortune?" The monk says, "Well, you know what the monk says." Weeks later, soldiers arrive to conscript every able-bodied youth for a distant war. The son, still limping, is left behind. The neighbors fall silent. The monk brews tea. The tale is not a call for passive fatalism. It is an invitation to patience. We are standing inside chapter 3 of a book whose ending we cannot yet read. The job loss, the diagnosis, the heartbreak, these are not final sentences, only semicolons. Trusting life does not mean surrendering agency. It means recognizing that agency includes the wisdom to wait, to watch, to learn from what has not yet been revealed. Meditation, the sky behind the clouds. Sit for a moment, straight spine, soft shoulders. Let the breath enter like a quiet guest. Let it leave without fanfare. Thoughts will come, lists, regrets, grocery items, ancient embarrassments. Let them come, let them go. You are not the thoughts, you are the sky through which they drift. The sky does not argue with its clouds. It simply holds them until they dissolve or move on. Meditation is the daily practice of returning to this sky. Over time, the clouds arrive less densely, the blue appears more often. Even when storms gather, you remember the blue is still there, waiting. Science now confirms what monks have known. 20 minutes of daily breath meditation thickens the prefrontal cortex, shrinks the amygdala, lowers cortisol. But the deeper benefit cannot be measured in brain scans. It is the gradual loosening of the mind's grip on permanence, the growing ease with impermanence. The cup is already broken, the wave is already rising, the arrow is already flying. Meditation teaches us to witness these truths without flinching. Letting go of the cliff branch. Picture yourself clinging to a branch over a ravine. Your arms ache, your palms bleed. The drop below is obscured by mist. You cling because you fear the unknown depth. Yet what if, 3 feet beneath your kicking feet, there is a ledge wide enough to hold you? Letting go is not nihilism. It is the courage to discover solid ground. It is the farmer planting seeds, without digging them up, every hour to check progress. It is the painter releasing the brushstroke, without hovering to see if the gallery will approve. It is the parent allowing the adolescent to stumble, knowing bruises are also teachers. Compassion, the softening of judgment. The monk who breaks his cup does not smash it in rage. He kneels to gather the shards, mindful of sharp edges. This is compassion in motion, toward the cup, toward the hand that let it fall, toward the heart that grieves the loss. Compassion begins at home. Notice how you speak to yourself after a mistake. Would you address a dear friend with the same tone? If not, adjust. The voice you use inside your own head becomes the weather in which you live. Metta meditation formalizes this kindness. Silently repeat, may I be safe, may I be peaceful, may I live with ease. Then widen the circle. Friend, neutral person, difficult person, all beings everywhere. Do not force warmth. Simply offer the phrases like seeds to soil. Some days the soil is barren. Plant anyway. Compassion is not a feeling to wait for. It is a practice to cultivate. Integration, the slow art of walking. Transformation is not a lightning bolt. It is a footpath. Each morning, as you tie your shoes, breathe once and remember impermanence. Each evening, as you wash the dishes, feel the cup already broken. When the phone rings with bad news, notice the wave rising. When praise arrives, enjoy it without building a monument. These small, quiet returns to awareness accumulate like leaves on forest floor, soft, unremarkable, yet nourishing to everything that grows. A final image. Years from now, you may return to the river of this moment. The mist will be different. The leaves downstream will have traveled farther. The sky will have chosen new colors. But the water itself, cool, insistent, indifferent to your dramas, will still move without clinging to any single shape. Sit again at the edge. Listen. Somewhere in the hush between your heartbeat and the current, you will hear the same lesson carried forward. Everything passes and everything arrives. The art is to remain present for both,